Hi everyone, it's Ksenia. Today we're gonna talk about Venetian plaster that gives you this amazing marble look. I got the cheapest acrylic Venetian plaster for my project. And honestly, whether it's expensive or cheap doesn't really matter, because we can achieve an amazing result either way. When you're applying these thin materials, it's super important to prep the surface just like you would before painting it. You know what I mean? I hope yes. The best way to apply Venetian plaster is on a surface that's being painted with acrylic paint. The color of the paint should match or be darker than the base color of the plaster. So I've painted the wall black, but you could also use a dark blue. But trust me, it's gonna be easier for you to see the process on the black ground. I've got a white Venetian plaster and divided it into two parts, a larger part and a small part. To the big portion I'll add the black and blue pigments, while the smaller portion will remain white. Let's mix the dark blue pigments really well with a spackle knife, so it's evenly distributed throughout. Tinting is actually one of the most interesting steps in the plaster application process. At this point, I can get creative and create a unique color shade that accentuates the style and atmosphere of the room. I can mix different pigments and experiment with proportion to achieve the perfect color. Now, on to the fun part. We've got to need a spackle knife with rounded edges or a Venetian trowel, whichever you find more comfortable. We're gonna apply Venetian plaster diagonally with medium layer. Remember that the first layer of Venetian plaster does not need to be applied very evenly. Leave not large knife marks like this. We've applied a small section. After a little break, we move on to the next line. Let's stretch out another line and leave some space before the next one. I take more material and continue the application. When I get to the corner, I apply the material like this, making the transition from one wall to the other, keeping the general direction. When applying, I try not to smooth out much, but also avoid leaving super thick ridges and rushes. We've set the general direction of the pattern. Now we'll have to wait for about an hour for Venetian plaster to dry. Now the surface has dried and I need a heat gun and the same color Venetian plaster. I take amount of plaster on my spackle knife and get started. I fill the while moving from top to bottom or bottom to top, whatever feels comfortable for you. And remember, we want to leave some knife marks. I'll apply a small section, then grab the heat gun to create a cracks by hitting the fresh plaster. Great, we're done with this section. Let's keep filling the rest. I grab more material and fill in another part. It's really not that hard, and don't forget to wipe the trowel with a damp cloth from time to time, so the plaster doesn't dry on it. Okay, it's done. Now let's grab the heat gun. Let's fill in another strip, making sure we fill in all the gaps. And with the heat gun, we'll keep creating those cracks. I finished applying the first layer. Now I just wait for the Venetian plaster to dry completely. The Venetian plaster has completely dried. Now I take the 120 abrasive and sand the entire surface. By touch, it should become smooth without any unevenness. I sanded the entire surface. Now I take cloth to remove excess dust. I remove the dust thoroughly to prevent it from mixing with the light-colored Venetian plaster later on. That's enough. Then I take a trowel and start polish the entire surface. I apply significant pressure with the trowel and ensure that the gloss appears on the relief of the Venetian plaster. After that, I take a white Venetian plaster and dilute it with water by 10 or 20%. I mix the diluted Venetian plaster thoroughly until it reaches a paint-like consistency. Then I scoop it onto the edge of the spatula carefully, so as not to drip it everywhere. Okay, it's ready. Now it's time for the white magic. I began filling in with the white color diagonally. During the process, it's important to press firmly with the spatula to fill in the indentations and bring out the pattern. I fill in and remove any excess. There is nothing complicated here. I scoop more Venetian plaster and continue with the application. I applied the first layer of white Venetian plaster from right to left diagonally. Now I fill in the second layer from left to right. Done. You can leave the Venetian plaster as it is here and just wax it. This option is fine if you want a lighter wall finish, but I want to darken the decor a bit and get more gloss after waxing. So I'm going to remove a super fine layer of white plaster, starting with the 240 abrasives, then go down to 4 thousandths. Awesome! I fixed the issue with excessive whiteness, and now the Venetian plaster has darker shade. Plus we achieved a nice glossy finish. Now it's time to apply some wax. This step will give it a shine and provide a protective layer for the decor surface. I grab the same spatula and take a small amount of wax. Then I'll start applying it just like I did with the white Venetian plaster. First, I'll spread it out with one stroke and then I'll remove any excess with the second stroke. I'll make sure to do it in different directions, so the wax goes on smoothly over the plaster. The key is to apply a super thin layer and make sure not to miss any spots. We want the entire surface to be covered. Alright, all done. After waiting 20 minutes since application, I move on to polish the wax. It can be done with soft cloth or ship's wool pad. Ultimately, after thorough wax polishing, Venetian plaster acquires an exquisite shine and smoothness. Wax not only creates a protective layer, but also enhances the strength and durability of Venetian plaster. It helps seal and preserve the finish, making long-term cleaning and maintenance easier. Okay, that I have completed the polishing process, I'm enjoying the craftsmanship and creativity invested in creating this beautiful Venetian plaster. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful for your own Venetian plaster projects. Thank you for watching, please leave comments and likes on this video, as it greatly helps the channel promotion. Wishing you all a wonderful day and see you in the next video.